another video. Thanks the people who are viewing me. I appreciate it. I try to add something new every day in terms of things I've browsed. The reason there's a little bit of space between now and the last video is because I ran too long and had to redo the video. So, gotta keep under 15 minutes. Okay, today's video is going to be about mobility, specifically my own. Disclaimers first: I'm not a mobility specialist, and I do not endorse any particular method for anyone. So, in order for me to talk about my mobility, I guess you got to know a little more about what I see and what I do not see. I think about, like I have said before, I've said I am legally blind. Vision has been determined between 2160, which is technically not legally blind, to 2200. My vision is highly variable in terms of what I see. Movement, rapidly changing light conditions, etc. These things make a lot of difference in how well I see. Angle of the sun makes a lot of difference. If it's right overhead, see better than if it's in front of me, and that's, I think, true for most people. But if I'm walking in the sun, it really is hard, even with shades, and I'll go into that later, and etc. It's a lot harder. Not saying for most people. From what I can talk to people, I learn from people who are not visually impaired. And I'm trying to make this more of a multi-dimensional video, not just for people who are blind, blindness, etc., but try and look at some concepts as I try doing all of my videos that will apply to a lot of different people, and specifically a lot of different disabilities. So now that I got those things out of the way, I can talk about the kind of things that I do. Well, one thing that I talk about that's important to me, and I do talk about to everyone, is that my presumption is that I assume that nobody sees me. I walk at times where I feel comfortable. So, and even when I do feel comfortable, I still assume that nobody is actually aware that I'm there. And the reason is because people in cars and trucks have protective barrier around them, which I do not have. So that's my number one rule that I use. Number two, I know my disability. I know there are certain times of the day, light conditions, specifically, for instance, walking toward the sun is not a good idea for me. Okay, so like an hour or so before sunset, I do not walk toward the sun. I also don't like to walk toward the sun because if I'm walking toward the sun, cars that are on the road next to me may also be blinded by the sun. So maybe they don't see me on the side of the road. So once again, back to number one, the idea that I assume that nobody sees me. So I know what my limitations are, and so I work within those. Number three, use items that help with the limitations that you may have. I don't use any high-tech equipment to help me get around. Well, for the most part, I'll get into that a little later, but the basic stuff I use are a hat that I got free, like a baseball type hat that I received free, and then I wear a pair of shades that, if you look at my picture, my display picture for YouTube, that's the kind of shades I wear. You know, they're large, so I don't get any extraneous light leakage in between my shades and my eyes. They're reflective, UV 400 coated, so I don't to reduce glare. And those are my basic low-tech things that I use. My other thing that I use is my hearing. Okay, and I will just go ahead and address this myth, that blind people hear better than other people. Well, not necessarily. 47, I don't think I hear it all that well anymore, especially high-pitched tones, etc. All those high frequencies, I think, are kind of gone. But it's like I use what I have, and my hearing is, I would think, it seems to be average for my age, and so my hearing is being utilized at the moment. As I'm listening to cars going down the other side of the road, and the cars are coming from behind me. So I don't, for instance, let's say if my ears are stopped up, I would not be walking. Okay, because I rely on that quite a bit. Let's see. The fourth thing that I use the traffic signals like anybody else. I mean, I think it's even more paramount if you're walking, and especially you combine walking with having a disability. I use those. I use traffic signals, and I don't use, if I come up on a light and it hasn't just turned red so that I can walk across the side, I wait. Okay, I wait and get the next light. It's one of the things that I do. Probably the most high-tech thing that I use, and a lot of people use this, not just disabled people or blind people in particular, but I have an iPhone, and I use the MapQuest app, and I can set that so it will talk to me and give me walking directions. That's very helpful, because if I'm outside in the sun, trying to see my phone is almost impossible. I have to go to it inside or in the shade, and really, since it's not my usual light conditions at home, look at my phone, it's a lot harder. So as a result, I use my MapQuest app with audio, and if I don't know where something's at, that will help me. I found this to be a lot more helpful than asking people where something is at, because as you might expect, a fully sighted person is using a lot of visual cues to tell you where something is at. And since I see roughly at 20 feet what somebody sees at 200 under the best of circumstances, it doesn't help me out quite a bit. If Mr. Bystander says, well, you see that tree next to that green building, and it's pointing down the road, No, don't do that. So that's why I just go ahead and use my MapQuest navigation app. And so I really recommend it. There's all different type of apps for all different types of operating systems, and I'm going to make the presumption that they're all about the same, whichever phone you have access to. Go ahead and get the applicable app. Like I said, that's been very helpful for me. And I guess those are probably the major points. I will also address one more issue. I really don't know where the line is, and what there is a line for making decisions about using a white cane. I've never used one. I've known people, and I've had friends that have used them. As far as I know, they were either completely blind, or in my estimation, they had a lot worse eyesight than I did. But in that regard, I don't use it because it's beneath me. I don't use it because I don't feel like I require it. And so, one of the things that I will have to keep in my mind is, at some point, do I need that? And do I need to go to that? And there's a lot of high-tech canes out there. I've been watching videos. I haven't really liked them all or whatever, but and there's other devices that can also help. But the main thing is to know what your needs are and what your limitations are, and what you can do to maximize your abilities by minimizing those limitations and taking into account the needs that you have. And like I said, that's pretty much it. Give me a comment, like it, dislike it. I look forward to hearing those comments, and until we meet again, I suggest everybody keep walking. That's what I plan to do. Blindmanwalking2s out. Bye.